So be it, Jedi.
What's going on, guys? Back in another video. I know I said I would do an unboxing of this figure, but that proved to be a lot more difficult than I thought. And I spent probably 2 hours unboxing this. Started off trying to record it. Wasn't happy with how it was turning out. I decided that it's not worth spending all the time for a video and unboxing of this figure that wouldn't be as good as I'd like it to be. I think there are plenty of other videos on YouTube of this figure, such as Justin's collection. Obviously, he's the most objective. All his videos are the same and consistent. My personal favorite in terms of a stylistic and, to be honest, a more art approach, the Boston Collectors. So if you haven't seen an official unboxing of this figure yet, definitely check out Justin's collection, Boston Collectors. Those two, I think, let you know everything you need to know. With that preamble out of the way, I just want to do a video where I just go through, after the fact, share my unboxing experience, my overall thoughts on the figure, my first impressions, things that you generally feel or experience while unboxing a figure, but without the stress of trying to get it all on film, make it look good. And well, I said I'd do something, so I want to do something for you guys. And this is my first Vader, so I like to catalog the experience. First things first, this obviously is the deluxe version. I don't have another Vader in my collection, and there wasn't a chance in hell I was going to pick the battle damage look over, the standard Vader display option. Just because, as I said, this is more iconic. While the battle damage parts are awesome, I just prefer this. As you can see, I'm definitely taking advantage of those LEDs in the chest and belt boxes. Definitely brought the figure to life. So when I first opened up this figure, I was astonished at how intricate and detailed it was. I mean, of course, it's a Hot Toys figure, but man, I've just never owned a Vader before. I've never really experienced all the little nuances to the armor and the suit in itself. And to be honest, I was afraid I was going to break it. Even swapping out the helmet, I was sweating, to be honest, because I didn't want to scratch anything. I didn't want to tear anything up. Switching out the gauntlets or the gloves is a pain in the ass because they barely want to fit. And everything about this figure just screamed delicate, and I wasn't going to damage it or tear it up just for a video. It was the last thing I wanted. Nearly $400 out the door. And I waited 3+ months for it. Probably one of the last ones to get it. So I took my time, needless to say. Sadly, he is on the bottom shelf. I know, the bottom shelf stigma. But when you have just this one singular display, really can't nitpick about bottom shelves. As you can see, they're off to the left. We'll talk about tech later and maybe go off on a side tangent and talk about display and my figures as a whole. But right now we're talking about Vader and him being on the bottom shelf. As you can see, he's plugged in, so the longest USB-C cable I have is certainly not 6+ feet long enough to reach the top. And to be honest, he's more sturdy down here. You don't have to worry about him falling over. And you might say, well, just use the base. Well, I don't like display bases. It kind of takes me away from it. I like the figures on their own. A lot of time I use blue tack, but he's just chilling. He's pretty sturdy. I'm not worried about it right now. I don't have the saber lit up, although it is better than the old battery-powered lightsabers. I still think it's a half measure. I don't have any of my lightsaber-wielding characters with ignited blades, and I wasn't going to make an exception for Vader just to have some mid, baselit-looking Walmart Force Effects lightsaber going on. So he's just got the standard lightsaber hilt, but the LEDs in the chest and belt boxes definitely make a difference. I recently posted a photo on my community page of him next to Anakin, and I thought that looked so cool. I think any photo with Anakin and Vader, is awesome just because of who the characters are. But I have a 501st clone, and when I get another, they'll be going behind him, flanking him. So I think that'll look pretty cool, and this little cubicle, so to speak, will be complete. So the first impressions of a Darth Vader from a collector that's never had one. Well, this is sick. I think that this thing is the most, has the most shelf presence at all my figures. It definitely is iconic. I mean, there's a reason Vader is probably the most iconic movie character, definitely the most iconic villain. And I mean, just you can just see for yourself. I wish Hot Toys would stop being tightwads and use premium materials on their figures. I told myself when I first got into this hobby I wasn't going to buy Vader until they use leather. Well, we go back on our words a lot, but if this figure falls apart, man, it's going to be upsetting. Which it may be a couple years, but here in a year or so, if I still have it, there isn't any new, top of the line Vaders coming out. I'll probably give the whole suit a wash with either Mod Podge, which is, PBA glue, or some Angelus leather finisher. It's what I've used on my Clone Wars Anakin boots, which it's not really old enough to degrade yet anyway, but definitely the last thing I want is for this $370+ figure to fall apart on me. As you can see, the pose is pretty boring. This is probably how it's going to look in everybody's display, minus, they'll probably have the battle damage look, but there ain't much you can do with this figure. It's not very posable, and as I said, you run the risk of chipping off time on the suit, so I think he looks good enough just standing here. Kind of got the cape pulled back to expose his arms a little bit more, just to get a little more attitude. You could always just pull him forward and have his hands covered up, but why do that? Overall thoughts on the figure. I'm glad I got it. Definitely was different in terms of unboxing. I mean, the box itself is a slip cover, then another slip cover, then a foam padded art piece. You've probably seen it. And as I said, if you haven't, definitely check one of them videos out. But it was just, I've never unboxed a DX figure, and they go the extra mile in terms of making it seem a lot more premium. But just every little piece, I was just stressed out about tearing something up. Awesome figure, awesome shelf presence, but it's not like your typical figure. As I said, this is different for me because this is my first Vader, but it's a lot different when you get a clone trooper and you gotta worry about nothing. It was worth the wait, and as I said, I know I waited a little longer than most people, but at the end of the day, when you get your figure, who cares? That time that you spent waiting doesn't really matter because now it's here. And I'm glad I secured the PO before it went waitlist, because I think it went waitlist the same day, because I bought it the day that it was officially released, or the blogger photos went live. So that day it went waitlist, which is generally how it goes nowadays, it seems like. If it ain't gone by then, it will be soon after. But if you guys are interested, I'll go through the rest of my display and maybe share my thoughts on the current figures, future figures, etc. But this wraps up my discussion on Vader. Standing next to Vader, we have Tech, my one and only Bad Batch member. Picked him up relatively cheap, which he's probably going cheaper now. You can't really give him or Hunter away, it seems like. Bought him in hopes of getting the whole team, the whole line, and that has proved to be unrealistic. If and when Hot Toys ever releases another Crosshair, whether that be a reissue, an Imperial version, whatever, then we can talk, but at this point, he's going to stay by himself until I run out of room, and he'd be going bye-bye. Sucks that one figure is locked behind a $900 paywall. I mean, it doesn't suck for those that have him, but it sucks for us newer collectors or those that missed out on him. But objectively, this figure is nice. I mean, I just don't have any attachment to Tech as a whole. And every time I see him, I'm like, damn, I really wish I just had all of them. So, you're in this boat, you know how it feels. Recently moved them all down from the top shelf to the third. And as I said, from top to bottom, I can't really sweat where a figure's at because I don't have the luxury of, putting figures I don't like at the bottom, because if I don't really like them, I just need to get rid of them. But he's been in this post for a minute. I'm pretty proud of it, as you can see, but it is getting stale. when Clone Wars Sidious arrives, he'll probably go with Maul. I'm on the ropes about picking up that 2.0 Phantom Menace Maul. It looks pretty awesome. But I don't know who I'd display him with, and I don't know that I want that Maul to go wherever when I can have this with companion pieces. I mean, worst case scenario, I can move him up with Captain Rex and Ahsoka and have like a Clone Wars Season 7 display. But we'll see. Overall, I'm nostalgic to this figure because it was one of my earlier ones, and for now he's just chilling. Cad Bane. Super awesome figure. I think everybody in the community has said so. The show was poopy, but it was cool to see him in live action. He has no companion piece, unless you count Toto. But I mean, I have no plans of getting rid of him. I don't know who I'd pair him with. I've thought about Django. I've thought about Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett, but Django he's cool, but am I going to buy a figure just to have something to go next to Cad? No, because those will be the ones you end up getting rid of. So for now, he's just by himself. He's also been in that pose for a minute. And if I repose him, I'd probably get a lot more life out of him. But I think it's pretty subtle. Looks pretty cool. Quite pleased with it, but I do need to switch it up for sure. Here we have Padme and my Arc Umbra Trooper. The Arc Umbra Trooper was definitely an impulse buy when he was officially announced or whatever. I didn't even know he was limited. But I was lucky enough to get to the queue and secure him. But he's definitely going to be going out the door eventually. I don't have any sentimental attachment to that figure. Although it looks cool, I would definitely, without, aside from the price discrepancy, I would definitely rather have a Cody or, a more prominent named clone over one that just looks cool. But Padme, she's a grail. I really kind of shit all over that figure when his first vlogger photos were first released. I didn't think it looked that great. FOMO kicked in, and yeah, I'm in love with it. I love Attack of the Clones. I'm on the wait list for the Attack of the Clones Anakin. If it ever converts, I'd be happy to get it, but I don't need it because eventually we'll get a Revenge of the Sith. I have Clone Wars. I don't need 3+ Anakins, but she is a great looking figure for sure. We have Captain Rex and Ahsoka from, I guess you could say, Clone Wars Season 7. Two of my earlier figures as well. Definitely the first handful that I bought, which I only have a handful now, so ain't saying much, but I love Captain Rex. I mean, he's, of course, everyone's favorite clone, I think, and Ahsoka's a great companion piece, but the love for Ahsoka has died off significantly since subsequent content after Clone Wars. I mean, they need to let her go. She should have died on Malachor facing Vader for sure. Her story is played out. But overall, it's a pretty good figure. They look great together. The blue and the orange contrast well together. And as I said, I may eventually one day move them all up and put him in the middle of the two or something and have a Clone Wars Season 7 look, because that is, probably some of the best Disney Star Wars and a phenomenal conclusion to the Clone Wars as a whole. So we'll see. Here we have Anakin all by himself. I know I posted that photo of him with Vader. But at this point in time, he's just waiting for Clone Wars Obi-Wan. They'll probably go together. My first ever figure I'm super nostalgic about. Enough said, really. He'll probably always be a top shelf figure. Unless we get episode 3, then he may go out the door. And I just have a lonely 501st. He's just kind of taking up space at the moment. In the market for another one, but can't really find one for a decent price, and I'm not dying to buy one, but when I get a second one, he'll go down with Vader, and that'll be an open shelf. Wrapping up my thoughts on this Hot Toys DX28 Darth Vader, and I guess an impromptu collection tour. I don't know. Definitely went off on a tangent there, but for me, it's kind of hard to talk about one figure and not put the rest of your figures into consideration because, especially for smaller collectors like me, they all impact each other. If you haven't got it across already, this figure's awesome. I recommend it if you don't have it. But as I said, I'm late to the party, so probably one of the last ones to get it. That went on way longer than I expected it to. So, I'm going to wrap it up here, guys. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. Hope you like what you saw. Hope you took something away from it. And if you're new here, hope you consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you on the next one.